welcome to Parade Handmade. Now I promised you last week that we would get onto the leg warmers stroke slash arm warmers, gloves, long gloves. And I've come to the decision, the mad decision, to do a kind of a hybrid. It's not a hybrid. Basically they can be used for the two purposes. So that's what I'm going to do with these this week. So keep tuned for that. I also mentioned that I might do some gift guides and things like that. I'm not entirely sure I'm going to do that. I kind of balk at the idea. So I might end up really doing more Christmassy fun things. That's where my energy is at the moment. And I think we've got the other bit quite covered in Parade Handmade on the website. So I don't think I'm going to do that. Not this year. Welcome to the new subscriber. You're very welcome, and I hope you find something enjoyable here. And if there's anything else, I'll add it during the video. See you in a minute. Let's get down to business. Here is the sleeve. If you remember, this is a jumper, a full wool jumper, felted down. I washed it at 60 degrees, I think it was. If you ever need to do that, wash something at such a high temperature for environmental purposes, make sure you get a few things in there that you need washed, and don't put in colours that you think might run when you're doing it. So this went in and it shrunk and it's nicely felted, and I made that tote bag from it. So that's those two pieces. Now these two pieces are left over. These two lovely pieces. And what I'm going to do with these is, now not straight away and not today, but I'm going to, you can see the lovely shape on them. So I've tried this on, believe it or not, on my leg. Put my foot in here and my foot comes out the bottom then. So basically it's like a spat, you know, spats that you used to wear. You used to wear them over your shoes in the 1920s. And I'm going to embellish down here, and there'll be a kind of a leg warmer. But we'll keep that for later on, maybe an autumn project. So I'm dying to show you what I'm going to do. This is my plan. This is my bag. There were a few parts from that jumper. This is the bag. This was the neck and the little, you know, the front to the back. Just the neck part that was cut off in one piece. An inside pocket. Now from the arms, you can see it was directly cut off from the body. And I would like to make, the plan is, I've had a good think there, so to keep the video nice and short for you, relatively short, I am going to make this end the leg warmer. So that's going to go down as a point onto the foot that way. And this other end will be the wrist warmer. But I was reminded of a style by someone I know where the wrist warmer should come to here, but I would like to have somewhere to exit for the thumb. So I've measured so far in that. I think I'd like it to be long enough so that you can be comfortable, but also that you can be cozy, but you can do things. So I want it to be about the length of the cuff there, the rib, maybe not quite as long. So I'm going to just go above the rib on the underside and do a little slit there. Because this is felted, it's going to work. She says confidently, but no, you don't want it too big so that there's an enormous hole. So just fold that way. And as you know, I'll start it off vertically along the seam. And see how that works. So see if I'm happy with that. And the reason I'm doing it there at the seam is that the point is going to go up at the shoulder. It's not going to go up under your arm. So the point should be on the outside of your arm, and the hole for your thumb should be on the inside. So that should work nicely. Now I think that's just a little bit too long for my hand there. So I think and this is pulling anyway a little bit. So I'd like to cut it up a little bit further that way. So this is why you do a small enough hole. Now that's better. And that means you can have action and you can have movement, but you're still nice and cozy. Now I'll decorate that later with something fabulous. Now the other end. Now I have it folded in two so that I can find the middle. I'm just going to mark it there. I could mark it with a piece of thread, actually would probably be better than marking it with a pin. When you've done this, and you've got your center, go down a little further and get the other part there so that you can line it up. Now my plan is to pop the brush in, or your baby sponge, into the top of it and move on from there. Just make sure you're not this end is going to be easier to felt because it's got more room to put the piece, so you have to try and get it straight. Now, so that's the line. So if I know that that's my central point, I'm not going to go too far wrong with the designs. Now there's a little bit of a whole business there, but that actually, you know, in the end it's not going to be seen. We'll be moving it off there, look, like this. Now, my plan is to felt some kind of cloudy pieces. I'll show you what I've gathered to start with. Colors, I'm trying to keep to a theme, so I'm going to try and keep to something I can wear with denim jeans, and that kind of casual look. And I didn't want to bring in too many colors, as is my habit. So I have white, that's the actual natural wool from the locality, and it's washed and cleaned. Some grey, some blue, and some black, and that's a shade of blue. Maybe it's moving into lilac, but it's still kind of blue. And I also have green, a little bit of green. I can't even say, it's not lime, but it's kind of just a nice green. And then I have a kind of a more mossy, earthy green there as well. But I'm not sure if I'll use them. I also have some blue threads and a little bit of blue ribbon, which is very fine, very thin, and I have a plan for that I might use. And I have this, I thought it was elasticated, but it's all right that it's not. And I want that to go sort of at the ankle to give a little bit of a grip, and maybe at the wrist, possibly. I'll see, do I need to gather it, so therefore I'll have to make little holes, or will I just, you know, put it on as is, you know, just lay it down. It's really pretty, and I do love a bit of velvet ribbon. So I used 24 inches by 2, if you want to try and use some of that, but you can see the project till the end and see what you think yourself. So now this is how I'm going to start. I'm going to do it so that it doesn't have to be exactly the same, but it will look similar. I want it to be quite embellished. I think I'll lay down first some cloudy swirls, but I want to keep some of the background appearing. I don't want to cover it up entirely because it's a beautiful, beautiful deep navy blue. I'll work from the dark up to the light as well, a little bit like acrylics. And I'll just do a little bit of black. I can add in a little bit later. It's not all going to be felting. I will embroider over it. I'm not going to use applique today. And like this. And I'm going to try and keep it in a circular fashion. So just to give it a little bit of bubbly kind of a look, I suppose. So I'm just going to gingerly get the basics down, and not too much black now. I don't want it to be too dark. We've already got dark background, so it's just a nod. And my usual complaint is I want a bigger brush. So that's that. Now, I'm not going to spend time stabbing it. I can go off camera and do that, but you know what I'm doing. Now I'm going to get some blue in. No, will I go blue or grey? I'll do a little bit of grey. Bit of grey. It's not that dark. In you go again with the circle. So that's another one. I think I will do another little bit of grey. Just another little bit of grey. That's the centre. I have to think about getting a little bit of balance. So let me see. I'll put a little bit of this nice. I'm dying to get this blue. I don't know what it is about it. It's just got this beautiful hue. Now, bearing in mind, if you really feel that it's gone into the wrong spot, you can change it. You can pull it out later when we have a good overview of how everything's fallen together. So remember, that's the central line. We need to get some on this side. I think we actually need to get, I'll put this one here. So that's it a little bit further. Bearing in mind here, you're going to keep them bigger, and then I'm going to keep them smaller as they taper along back the way towards the back. just a little small little, and then maybe more sparse as well. I will add a little bit of green now, I think. I love the balance there. I'm just wondering, should I? Still, it would be lovely with jeans, wouldn't it? A little bit of green wouldn't hurt. It's a bit like the sea and the sky and the leaves. They all kind of work. Should I? Ah! Will I keep it monotone? No, I can't. I just can't do it. Now, I'll put away those needles, nice and safe, so nobody gets their fingers hurt when they come across them later, or little paws don't get stuck on them. Now, here you go. I finished off felting for the moment, and as you see, there's the two markers. So it's not balanced. That has to get done more. A few of them do have to get done more, but you understand. And that's the front. And then I'll show you now if I fold it, you'll see that's it from the side view, more or less from one side, and the other side is like this. So it's not the same. And then that's the back. Now you can still add some or take some away if you fancy. The next thing is to decide how you want to embellish it. So for me, I'm excited about this. I could stay here for hours now. Now that I've parked myself, I could stay for hours. But I'm considering hiding the end in there and just going up the seam at the back. That would be really nice. I've decided I don't need it to go around this way because I might do it when I'm doing the wrist warmer element. But for this part, I could put it all the way up the seam and it would look really cool at the back of the leg warmer. Or I was thinking I could trace around the rim all the way around nice and neatly with a similar colour stitch as neatly as possible, and it could look lovely. I'm just wondering, would it look too restrictive, you know, kind of boxed in? On the other hand, you could do a lovely blanket stitch around there, all the way around there. Very boho, very crafty looking, homemade. It's not for everyone. And I'm resisting doing it because it's the obvious thing. Now, top sewing is another one, but there's a lot of stitches that can get stuck then when you're walking around. And besides that, it would take forever and ever and ever to top stitch all the way around there. So especially, you know, very close together. And really you could just put a ribbon on it for that purpose if you want to really cover it up. So I'm kind of there now. The next thing, besides that decision, I'm erring towards this one, I think, for the moment. Now, in the front, or, you know, on this part, one thing, you get a darning needle, some lovely embroidery thread, contrasting, and make sure that you have felted them in nicely, and then come along with a nice piece of thread and just sew in a spiral in there, all the way from the outside to the inside, or the inside to the outside, whichever is more comfortable for you. So you can do that. You don't have to do them on them all, but some of them. And the other thing you can do then is, when you've done that, a little bit maybe contrasting the thread, that color could go there, for example, not on every circle. Maybe that color could go on the gray, or silver on the black, or silver on the blue. Put some dark blue in there. I'll leave that up to you. You can just decide. And then the part that I like is you can come over it then with more contrasting piece. So let's just say this, and make very big circles that overlap the other dots, if you know what I'm saying. And then another one that would overlap, and it's just like a running stitch, not a back stitch. It wouldn't take too long at all, relatively speaking. And just to tie all the elements together and give it a more freewheeling feeling. And you can overlap those big circles because they are so sparse, and you can do them about half a centimetre to 3/4 of a centimetre. It's up to you really. You just have it so that it's interesting and everything is kind of in together but separate. That's the plan. And the last but not least, I may or may not include it, is this little fine ribbon. I do love it, and I do love to have a variation, various materials, kind of a little bit of velvet, a little bit of ribbon, a little bit of embroidery thread and felt, and I just love the mix. The only thing I have not got going on here is lace. It doesn't mean I won't, but I might put it up at the wrist warmer end, but you don't really need it when you're doing felting. And I'll show you a little bit how I'm getting on now in a couple of seconds. I won't finish it today. As usual with my projects, not all of them I can finish them in a day. It's not all of them, but you know, often these projects, they're so full of embellishment, there's no chance. I could do it in a day, but I don't have a day to sit and do it. So I'm going to work away on this, and I will come back to you next week and show you a tiny bit of this and carry on with a new project. So I hope you enjoyed that. So now I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. I do like a nice project. It's a pretty one as well, and it's really just something I really love. I love the vintage kind of feel to things, but I don't like to copy directly, because not just because it's not good to copy, but because I feel I'm going down routes that people have already gone down already. So insofar as I can do something different, I like to do that. So where I like folk art and things like that, I appreciate it. I think it's beautiful, and that kind of design and pattern that you see all around the world, I like to let my head wander to come out with something brand new. And that's what we can all do. That's what we can bring to our projects, something fresh and new every time. And that's the wonder of it. So I hope you enjoyed that a lot. Good luck with your stuff. And see you all next week. Thanks for watching.